Oh, hello. I'm Isaac Keith Martinez, and welcome to a brand new episode of Isaac's Haunted Beard. Hey guys, it's been a while since we've last hung out. I believe episode 1 of season 2 was in September, and here we are in December. So, for the records, this video was filmed and posted in December of the year 2014. Wow, we're living in the future! Okay, so, in the last video, I talked all about the horror movies that I love to watch in the month of October. So, you might be thinking, well, that was October, this is December. What could you possibly talk about in regards to horror films for the month of December? I'll tell ya! In fact, I'll do you one better, I'll even show you. As you may or may not know, and I'm sure you do, there is actually a small but pretty choice collection of horror films that take place in December and center around Christmas. So, cheesy or not, I actually enjoy watching these movies every December, and there are, if you were to actually do your homework, you'd find out that there may be more than you knew there were, but there's a couple that I particularly enjoy, and I make it a point to watch every December. So I'd like to take this moment to share with you what these films are. For starters, I would like to show you Black Christmas from 1974. Now, Black Christmas is a slasher film, and not only is it a slasher film, but many horror fans regard it as the very first slasher film. That's open to discussion or debate. Some people regard Halloween as the first slasher film, but I think that Halloween was the first very popular slasher film, the one that's responsible for starting the slasher boom. I think that you can trace back your slasher roots to Black Christmas. So, although you could talk about, you know, films that have elements of slasher films that maybe predate this one, I think that for the formula that slasher films offer, this is the first. Black Christmas. It takes place in a sorority house, and the killer, Billy, is stalking the girls, and he may or may not be somewhere nearby. How close is Billy? And, you know, what does he look like? You know, if you've never seen this movie, and you're used to slashers like Jason with his iconic hockey mask, or Michael Myers with his iconic The Shape mask, or even Freddy Krueger with his, you know, fingers and his hat, what does Billy look like? If you've never seen this film, I'm not going to tell you. This is a great film. It may be considered dated to some, but I think that's part of its charm. I like films that take place in the 70s, and speaking of Freddy Krueger, one of the stars of this film is John Saxon, the father from Nightmare on Elm Street. So, Black Christmas. I love to watch it every December. Now, skipping to the next decade, the 1980s, which is regarded as the slasher Hall of Fame, you know, decade. You know, most of the iconic slasher films come from that decade. I would like to remind you of Silent Night, Deadly Night. And this is a movie that was very controversial when it first came out, and I think that over time, this film's reputation has grown in form of a cult audience, but I think that people have simmered down as far as, you know, what gets them riled up. You can make a movie like this today and not really get, you know, people picketing movie theaters and such. In fact, Black Christmas had a remake, and you know, several years back, and nobody picketed the theaters for that, but you'd be surprised, if you didn't know already, how upset people were when Silent Night, Deadly Night came out. This is a movie where, as you can see from the cover, you could say, well, is the killer Santa Claus? Well, I mean, it's a guy in a Santa Claus outfit, but it's not Santa Claus himself. It's actually, strangely enough, it's also Billy. Okay, so isn't that weird? Billy is the name of the killer from Black Christmas, but he's also the name of the killer in Silent Night, Deadly Night. I mean, how many horror films do we need to see about Christmas and Santa Claus before do we get away from Billy, having a slasher named Billy, and actually getting to Santa Claus being the killer? I'll tell ya, and I'll show ya. Santa's Sleigh. Now this is not from the 90s or the 80s or the 70s or the 60s. This is from the 2000s. This is actually from around 2005 and has a very neat premise. Santa Claus is, the actual Santa Claus is the killer, and the roots of the story is that he's actually a demon, and God, or, you know, I don't recall exactly if it's God per se, but I think they call him God. He has the power to take this horrible, destructive demon and put a curse on him so that not only he has to vanquish his evil ways, he has to become the exact opposite. He has to, you know, be the nicest guy on earth and deliver gifts for, you know, I can't remember, like millions or thousands or whatever, however many amount of years. And this film takes place on the Christmas that the punishment contract kind of expires. So Santa's back, and he's played by Goldberg. WCW. You like that? Alright, and you know what? I actually have one more Christmas, it's actually a television special, it's not a movie, a DVD that I like to watch every December, and it's not a horror film. For you friends out there in computer land, I'd like to let you know again that I don't just watch horror films. I love horror films and they're my favorite, but I like all kinds of movies and all kinds of TV shows, including this one from the 1980s. This is probably my favorite television special of all time, Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Special, starring Pee Wee Herman. Not only does it star Pee Wee Herman, it's got a slew of guest stars, including, let's see, there's pictures on the back, so I'm going to cheat. There's Little Richard, woo! There's Charo, I can't do a Charo impression. There's Oprah Winfrey, wow! Whoopi Goldberg, Grace Jones, for you horror fans, Grace Jones from Vamp, and Frankie and Annette from the Beach Party movies. Not to mention Magic Johnson from the Lakers, the 1980s World Championship Lakers. Okay, Pee-wee's Playhouse Christmas Special. I love it for exactly the reason you think I do. It's campy, it's kishy, it's funny. I love it. Alright, now you'd think right around now that that's where a video like this would end. Well, I've got a bonus for you folks. A New Year's special. Okay, now how could he approach celebrating the New Year's with horror? I'll tell you. What I like to do for New Year's is on January 1st, I pick a horror film franchise that I love and start it from part 1. And then I continue to watch the movies, part 2, part 3, part 4, you know, depending on how many are in the film franchise, and I keep watching them until I complete them all. I make the choice of how many I want to watch in that day, but I commit to only watching that franchise until that franchise has run out. So, you know, as the month goes along, I don't watch any other movies. When I watch a movie, I watch the next film in that franchise, and I usually pick ahead of time what franchise it's going to be. And as you know, horror movie fans and friends, that some of these franchises, excuse me, have a lot of movies. You know, especially when you consider things like Friday the 13th or Halloween. This year, I'm going simple. I'm going with a trilogy. I'm going with one of my favorites, and I think one of your favorites, Sam Raimi's The Evil Dead trilogy. Oh my goodness, I love The Evil Dead. I love Ash. I love the the cabin in the woods. I love everything about it. In part 1, which was I believe from 1981, this is Sam Raimi's first film. This is Bruce Campbell's first film. This is, you know, 5 friends. I know you've seen the movie. You know, it's 5 friends who are spending the weekend in a cabin, and they find a book which turns out to be a haunted type of book, like it's called the Necronomicon, and they also find a tape recorder, and then when they play it, and the spells that are recorded on the tape are spoken aloud. It's like the woods can hear it, and it sets out these evil spirits which enter the house and slowly, one by one, possess the teenagers or young people in the cabin, and they all murder each other like a bunch of crazy people. It's great. It's fantastic. Who survives? Who doesn't? Check it out if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, shame on you. See it now. It's amazing. It's worth its reputation in gold. The Evil Dead. And now, of course, when you get to the second film, you get to Evil Dead 2. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. If I haven't said it on this show, I've definitely said it in conversations. I know I've said it like in like on tweets, on Twitter. I think Evil Dead 2 is the greatest horror film sequel of all time. In fact, it's actually, in my opinion, it's my favorite sequel of all time, of any franchise, period. It's a different spin on the film. The first one's kind of spooky. It has got some humor in it, but it's a pretty creepy film. This one is kind of the opposite. It's like a little spooky, but it's more funny. It's very campy. When you watch it, you can clearly see that it's on purpose. Bruce Campbell especially really hams it up and shows how talented he is of a comic actor. A strong physical performance, a lot of memorable, wacky stuff, and gosh, if you haven't seen this movie in your life, you're in for a treat, because it's really terrific. Evil Dead 2. Dead by Dawn. Dead by Dawn! Dead by Dawn! Okay, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And we finish with, now if you're not familiar with this trilogy, which means you maybe live in a cave or something, you think it's called Evil Dead 3. Well, it's not called Evil Dead 3, ladies and gentlemen. It's called Army of Darkness. And Army of Darkness is the third film wrapping up Sam Raimi's Evil Dead trilogy, starring Bruce Campbell. And this is a bit of an adventure film. It does have, once again, elements of horror and elements of comedy, but also has elements of fantasy and adventure and action and heroicism. Heroicism? Is that even a word? That's a word! Look it up! Dictionary. You don't have a dictionary? You look it up on the computer. They have dictionaries, like websites and stuff. And Bruce Campbell, oh my god, look at his huge muscles. That's not accurate. He doesn't really have... He's awesome. But those are like Conan the Barbarian type muscles. I think this is like a parody of like those romance novels where Fabio was on the cover of back in the 80s. This is a great film, and it's very funny, and it's very quotable, and it's a terrific closing to a trilogy. So, like I said, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, what a wonderful way to start 2015. Alright, there you go. I did Christmas movies, and I did New Year's movies. But wait, there's more! I got one last film that I want to do a shout out to. Now, this video, the one that you're watching, maybe you're watching it next year already, it's 2015. Maybe you're watching it even further into the future, like the year 2025! I picked that year because of the song. In the year 2520. Nothing. Zegger and Evans, nothing. Okay. Anyway, in the year 2014, which this video was filmed and posted on the YouTubes, it officially marks the 30th anniversary of one of the most famous horror franchises in history. Not so much the franchise as a whole, but the first one, part one, the movie that started it all, and that is Wes Craven's masterpiece, A Nightmare on Elm Street. And this is the film that made a star out of Robert Englund, who had been in films before this, but this is his career-defining character that he portrays. Freddy Krueger, the killer who kills in your dreams. And if he kills you in your dreams, kids, you are dead for real. You ain't waking up ever. And this is a movie that I first saw when I was a kid, and the first time I saw it, it actually legit really, really scared me, for real. And I've seen it a million, kabillion, zillion times since then, and I love it. And even to this day, even though I don't get scared anymore, when I look at it, I find it very creepy. Like, I still find it very creepy. And it's got a lot of great moments, and it's got a lot of great quotes and a lot of great kills, and it's even got Johnny Depp in his very first film ever. if you've never seen A Nightmare on Elm Street, check out the 1984 slasher classic, Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street. In case you're wondering why is this so big, am I holding up a record? What's a record? This is a Laserdisc. I mean, I have it on DVD and I have it on Blu-ray, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to show you. A long time ago, you could buy movies on a format called Laserdisc. It's a digital format that they're like huge Blu-rays. See, they played in players and they showed the movie, digital sound and picture and the whole shebang. It was great. They're expensive. At the time they were expensive. They're probably getting them for a song now. All right. So, before I go, I just want to say thank you for spending time with me. I hope you have happy holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. And you can keep up with my shenanigans by following me on Twitter at Isaac's Haunted Bee. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Happy New Year! Goodbye!